Good evening. I was so excited to wear this headset. I see Pastor Mark wear this all the time. I just think it's so cool and sleek, so that I get to wear this is a joy in itself. So, my father is my greatest city year. My father is from the Dominican Republic. He was born to a family of relative poverty. He was one of 12. He was the youngest and the only boy. And he was the only one to get beyond a high school education. And he went on to go to medical school. He became an interventional cardiologist and has been working for over 40 years at the Cleveland Clinic. So I'm incredibly proud of him. His city year was his mother, and his mother was a strict disciplinarian. She saw something special in him, and so she made sure to keep him within the rails and made sure that he was going to pursue education as a pathway out of poverty. And he did that. He broke the cycle of poverty and created a new cycle of prosperity, education, opportunity that I've reaped benefits from, as have my siblings. And I think I realized over a period of time, but it really became crystallized over the past 8 years of City Year, the inextricable bond that exists between mentorship and education, that the two really go hand in hand. I think his mother realized that education really was a great equalizer, but education with the umbrella of mentorship over it was really what created this catalytic effect, I think, in his life to be able to achieve the things that he did. I think it's a big part of the reason why I stand before you here today and why my work at City Year really serves more of a vocation than anything else. I believe I'm standing really at the intersection of my greatest desire to mentor young people with the world's greatest need of education equality. And that is really what City Year does. So Shehanna had mentioned, we really recruit a group of diverse 17 to 24-year-olds that commit 1 year of service. They commit 1 year to work full-time as volunteers, as near-peer tutors, mentors, and role models. We have almost 170 core members this year, serving in 16 schools and about 6,500 students. 14 of the 16 are located in Ward 7 and Ward 8, so just a stone's throw from here. And what we try to do is really fill the gap that exists between what a student needs in the schools that we serve in to be successful and what a school is able to provide. So let me be clear, especially in Shehanna's presence, being that she's a teacher as well. I think the work that our teachers do in any school system, but certainly what I've seen firsthand in the DC public school system, is nothing short of heroic. But the kids that we're serving come to the table with a host of challenges that go beyond a daily classroom instruction. And so part of what we try to do with our City Year core members is help fill that gap. So what's evidence of this gap? So the graduation rate in this country is about 81%, which is actually an improvement over the past 5-6 years. That still means there's about 800,000 dropouts happening every year across this country. Now, to bring it closer to home, the graduation rate in Fairfax County is about 93%. Come to Washington, D.C., and it's closer to 58%. And then to get really specific, to get into Ward 7 and Ward 8, that graduation rate becomes about 44%, which means there's more children dropping out of school in Ward 7 and 8 than there are graduating, and that's a catastrophe. Because we know that a high school dropout anywhere is 3 times more likely to be unemployed, 8 times more likely to be incarcerated. And so we try to fill that gap with the work our core members do, working with these kids. The idea behind City Year, the name City Year, people often ask that, is that we believe that whether the child's in high school or in college, they should do their freshman year, sophomore, junior, senior year, and then do their City Year. The idea being that every young person should give 1 year of service back to their community. In this specific case, we're talking about a year of service in the schools to serve as these near-peer tutors, mentors, and role models. If you go into any one of the 16 schools that we serve in, and you walk down the hallway and grab any random elementary school child or even a high schooler, and you ask him, who's your City Year? Shehanna can attest to this. They'll immediately say, Miss Shehanna, or Mr. John, or Miss Shanika. They immediately have an answer. And what their thought process is in terms of how they choose who their city year is going to be, the core members serve in 10, usually approximately 10 in each school that serve in the school supporting the classroom. I don't know exactly what their process is in doing that, but they definitely look at our City Year AmeriCorps members as naggers and nurturers, success mentors, advocates, champions, safe space, safe place. I call them many different things. But what has been evidently clear is that there's a very simple yet very powerful model. I often call it the secret sauce of City Year in terms of what these City Year AmeriCorps members are doing and the impact that they're making on these kids. And so one of the things that struck me a few years ago was I started looking at what we were doing, and I said, why can't City Year really be a microcosm of something much larger? So there are somewhere between 45 and 50,000 students in the DC public education system. We're serving 6,500 of them, the mass majority being them in Ward 7 and Ward 8. That means there are over 50,000 kids that don't have a City Year. It warms my heart when you ask a child who your City Year is, and they will say, Mr. John or Miss Shehenna. And if a bus is going down the street, especially in the schools that we serve in, and they see City Year AmeriCorps member in a red jacket, they will start screaming City Year out the window. But what about the children that don't have a City Year? So when I say who your City Year is, it really is kind of symbolic of who's your mentor. And obviously, I've been convinced of the power of being a mentor from looking at what happened with my father and just what, how that affected his life, having a mother that was so over him like that. But my thought was this: why can't there be 45,000 City Years in the community? Why do I think this is possible? Well, two reasons. One, Washington, D.C. is the smallest big city in the country. Number two, D.C. is home to some of the most educated people in the world, and at the same time, home to some of the greatest instances of poverty, crime, HIV/AIDS, and dropout rates. And so we have the ability as a smaller community with really talented people to really affect the change and create these mentors. I have a board member from Deloitte. I hate to put Deloitte in the spot, but I'm always talking to him about this idea. I said, gee, there's 6,000 employees, more or less, in the DC region that Deloitte employs. What if Deloitte decided to put a stake in the ground and say, and they attract all these incredible minds as well to Washington, D.C. What if they put a stake in the ground and said, for your first year of employment at Deloitte, you will also have to agree to be a mentor for 1 year for a child in Anacostia. After that 1 year is complete, you don't have to be a mentor anymore. My bet, my hope, is that after that year is complete, that Deloitte mentor, or whoever that mentor would be invested in that child, and that would continue working with that child, would help him or her with their homework, life skills, maybe applying for college, maybe even pay for college or part of college. I really believe that that is when a mentor can become a champion. And when a champion exists, that means they are tied to that child. That child's success is that mentor's success. That child's failure is that mentor's failure. And so if that were to happen, and Deloitte was able to do that, maybe another company would follow suit. And then maybe after that, some different NGOs, nonprofits, or churches would follow suit as well, until eventually we had 45,000 professional mentors serving, that every child in the DC community would have a professional mentor. That would be my vision. Now, I want to start with just 7 in Ward 8, which is about a little over 20,000 students. Many people that I've told the story to say that is a complete pipe dream. My answer would be this. It's my favorite quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. Margaret Mead. Thank you.